Fantasy Rap
with Austin and Ozzy.
Oh, I just love those boys.
Hey everyone, this is Fantasy Rap, and I'm your host Ozzy.
And I'm your co-host Austin.
You can find us on fantasyrap.com. That is fantasywrap.com. Hey everybody, welcome to week 12 of the fantasy football season. We've got Sutton with us. Hi Sutton. How are you? Did you watch the game last night? Yeah? Was it a good game?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. And who played? Cleveland and the Steelers. And I'm going to let you choose who we're going to talk about. Who do you like? You like Cleveland?
Yeah.
Show the camera.
Okay.
Hold it up.
Hold it up. Show them what you picked.
Say
You picked
Dog Pound.
Big down, down.
Dog Pound. Can you look up and say goodbye?
Bye.
So, welcome back. You saw that Sutton chose the Dog Pound. Not a very good game last night.
Nope.
Kind of boring. Although, it's hard to have an interesting game when it's snowing like it was.
Yeah, I saw the pregame, warm-ups. It was white, and then kickoff or whenever. Not
Oh, really?
long
It was
after.
white before?
In like pregame and stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There was video that I saw of it just coming down, and then it seemed like kickoff. It was just clear.
Yeah.
And then it rolled back in. So
Yeah,
it was all
okay.
the crap that just came through here. So
Gotcha.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you had better stats from the Steelers, but Sutton chose Cleveland, so we'll go through their stats, even though they weren't that good.
Yep.
Jameis Winston was only 18 of 27, so what, 66%, 67%, 219 yards, an interception, 3 rushes, 7 yards, and a touchdown. Not the game that
yeah.
although
The
weather
yes.
played in. Chubb had 1 catch for 1 yard on 1 target, rushed 20 times for a paltry 59 yards, but stumbled into the end zone twice.
Yep, and I played against Chubb in the Yahoo League that I need to win out if I even have a shot at making playoffs. So he had the team who had drafted him and then had him in IR all season, decimated by buys, had to drop him, and then dropped him, and then this is the team that is 2 starters of Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah, and
But
so
he dropped him
yeah. Well, I mean the usage
you mean
hadn't been he dropped
through the last couple weeks because of buys.
yes, like this
Gotcha.
week, like I mean a couple days ago had dropped him, and then of course BJ, who I'm playing, was able to get him and then threw him in the lineup.
Do you guys use Fab? Or is it
no.
just order?
That's so the Yahoo one is the one where it's kind of a free for all.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but I think Chubb was technically on waiver for the 2 days or whatever it is in that league, and BJ had, the highest claim of anybody who put in for him, so
Gotcha.
he was able to get him. So yeah, I played against that.
Yeah, I dropped him this week too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in one of my leagues.
Yeah,
Because he hadn't been performing.
his usage, and I mean, then of course, I think it was either yesterday during the day that they came out and they were like, well, it was a blowout loss, or a blowout win, or which did they lose real bad last week? I can't remember the Browns. I can't remember that, or maybe they.
No, Winston
they
went.
won
Didn't he go off? Oh no, that was the game wasn't that against New Orleans?
something. I think Winston had a good week last week too. Either way, it was not a close game, and they were still ramping him back in, so that's why he didn't get used a lot last week. So I mean, 20 carries, 1 target. It's pretty good. So
It's good, but when you're putting up 60 yards total on those 21 touches,
again, I mean weather, but that is the Steelers' defense. So he's
they
the
were holding
2
him.
touchdowns really saved his day. So
Yep. Then you had Judy. He was 6 catches on 6 targets for 85 yards.
nice.
Yeah, I mean he made some big plays. He actually looks like he's a decent receiver there. Now Tillman, I believe, was being checked for a concussion or something. And because he went out fairly early and he had fumbled early.
Yep, I was going to say, I watched the fumble.
So he didn't really play a whole lot, didn't do much. And then the only real other player that did anything was Akins, who had 3 catches on 4 targets for 38 yards. Pretty sad when you have to include something like that just to get 4 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers and a tight end to go with the quarterback for Pittsburgh, had we talked about them. But it just so happened that, they put up a lot of yards. Yeah, they were moving the ball, but they kept on turning it over or, just poor play down by, once they got closer to, I think didn't Bosley doink one?
Yeah, I didn't watch the entirety. I watched kind of the beginning of the game, but
I thought he doinked. Maybe not. It was. I was tempted to fall asleep during the game. It was really kind of a boring game.
Yeah, I started watched like the first 2 drives, but then I was playing Call of Duty, so I just had it on my phone. So in between matches, I would watch for the 30 seconds or whatever.
Gotcha. So. See what's important to you youngsters. you 20 somethings.
Almost 30.
Almost 30 something. Moving on, we've got our picks of the week. QB, CBS Sportsline has Daniels, Hurts, Mahomes, Jackson, Kyler Murray, and Goff. So I am going to go with Baker.
Nice. Off the bye.
I actually
Evans
picked him
back.
up in one of my
Really?
leagues. Well, I had Dak and Mahomes.
Well, I'm saying that he was. I mean, I guess with the bye, but that he was available.
Oh,
even.
eight-team league.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense now.
I mean, this
makes more sense
This is
now,
that
yeah.
league that I should, third in scoring, and I'm in 6th place.
Yeah.
It's just it is what it is, and that's the league that I dropped Chubb in. So,
Yep.
but I like Baker. They're going against the horrible Giants team. Side note: Giants got rid of Daniel Jones today. Let him go.
Yep.
Well, I'm guessing he'll obviously go on waivers.
Yeah.
No one's going to pick up the rest of his contract, so he'll be a free agent. It'll be interesting to see if he actually signs with the team this year. Thoughts?
I mean,
There are a couple of teams out there that could use him.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, not just even as just a backup. I mean, like that's tough. I want to say if you're like a contender, like if you're a say you're Detroit, because the backup there is Hendon Hooker, who in preseason had some flashes, but hasn't played. Hasn't started.
I was thinking more along the lines of, say, a Tennessee or he's better than Will Levis.
Yeah, going from Will Levis to Daniel Jones isn't going to exactly ignite.
Well, it's still a lot better. I would actually consider him in Vegas.
Vegas would make sense. I mean,
there are some.
That would hurt. I think that would hurt Brock Bowers' 16 targets a week that he gets.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's just because no one can throw the ball further than 15 inches.
yeah,
So
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, yeah, Vegas makes sense, but I
We'll
mean,
have to
they're
see.
also
trying to
fighting
lose.
for a high draft pick. So
Yeah, you don't want to bring someone in who
they're
might win a
fighting
game.
with New York, who just got rid of Daniel Jones for a high draft pick.
We picked him up so we can be bad too.
Yeah. Here's a grenade.
Right.
Take it.
So I like Baker going against the Giants. I don't think that the Giants are going to necessarily put up many points, but they're a fairly weak defense. They're at a point where Tampa can go out there and just pound the crap out of them.
Yeah, I mean,
think that's what
Mike
they need to
Evans.
do.
Mike Evans is
Right.
trending that he's back. Like I said, coming off the bye week, you got the the nice 2 weeks essentially to prepare for the game.
And he's only got so much time to catch 1,000 yards worth of passes.
Yeah, that's true.
So
how far is he? What was he at?
I don't know. I think he was in the 300s.
Oh, jeez.
So he would still have to have like 700 a game.
Wow.
100
Yeah.
100 plus a game.
Yeah.
So
he could do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
no Godwin, no other receiver. Now, Kate Otten has been very good in place of those two. No other receiver there
Right.
has stepped up. The only receiver that stepped up has been Rashad White.
Right.
Which I'm starting Bucky Irving this week because Bucky Irving's been really good PPR fantasy wise as well, double digits pretty much every week that he's played. So I like that start. And Tampa's defense, that was one that everybody was like, go pick them for the rest of the season, like as your starter. But they're still beatable. And I mean, DeVito's come in a couple times and actually had some okay games.
Yeah, looked great against the Packers.
Yeah. So, I mean, who knows if they're able to keep it close, then Baker will have to swing it a little more.
Right.
So, yeah, I like that. I'm going with Justin Herbert against Baltimore. Herbert's been heating up.
Yeah.
The Chargers' offense has been heating up.
They have.
Quentin Johnston's finally staying healthy, and
They found him.
had a hand transplant, I guess, because he's actually catching balls.
Yeah. I think they put some stickum on him.
Yeah.
He sleeps with stickum on.
Just, elbow down like like the guy.
No, the whole body. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it would be bad if he actually gets tackled because then someone's going to be stuck to him.
Yep. So, like I said, they've been heating up, playing well. They kind of you watch clips of Herbert and Harbaugh interacting, and it seems like Harbaugh is really bringing the best out of Justin Herbert. They've kind of gotten a little more away from the high T dual running back, situation where, Edwards before he went on IR was getting 12 carries, and then Dobbins would get 15. Like they were super run heavy to start the season, and I think, and Harbaugh's as much as you might not like the guy, he's a smart coach. And he's, like I said, he's getting the best out of Herbert right now. And against Baltimore's pass defense, which is not the best, I think Herbert should have himself a pretty good day.
Right. Moving on, we've got the running back position. We've got CMC. Hey, we're back to having CMC at the top. Where's Pacheco? Wait, he's not playing this week.
Next week.
Saquon, Mixon, Gibbs, Achane, and Henry. And I am going to go with Josh Jacobs. Yeah, it's a homer pick, but San Francisco was without Bosa, and they're without Purdy. So I think it's going to be a run-heavy game by the Packers. It's going to be up in Green Bay.
Trending the right way? Because I know Jacobs was banged up with like a quad and ankle or something like that. So
I do not know.
Yeah. So
I had not heard.
I think he's been practicing. It's just been limited with him. So, and he's been kind of nicked up. He pops up on the injury report pretty much every week.
But he's like third in the league in rushing yardage.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, as a Packer fan, you sit there and you go, I'm not sure when he did that. I mean, he has his games.
But they're not like, you don't like hear about it.
Right. Right.
It's, all you hear is, Jordan Love threw another pick.
Right.
Not Josh Jacobs
really
rushed for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Right.
It's like you just don't hear it, so.
Yeah.
But I like the pick. I think, like I said, missing Bosa and Purdy, should be
I think it's going to be a time, a game where they're just going to try and use as much of the clock as possible. And Jacobs has been the guy.
Hopefully limit the
Turnovers.
Turnovers with
Stupid plays
with Jordan Love. Seems like when they throw it multiple times in a row, that's when one of those picks pops up.
Well, and I sat there and watched that long pass. Well, there were a couple of them, but there was a long pass into coverage again last week, and I sat there and I thought, did you not learn from early in the season when you threw that one to Reed, you're not supposed to make that throw? Now, our guy adjusted, made the catch, great.
Yep.
I just don't get it all the time.
So I like the pick with Jacobs there. So I am going Brian Robinson versus Dallas. Dallas is a completely broken team.
They are.
They have all the talent in the world. I was talking with my coworker earlier actually about this, and I was like, if Jerry Jones would be Jerry Jones, the owner,
Right.
and not Jerry Jones, the GM, and you get McCarthy out of there, Dallas would win some games. They would actually they have so much talent on that roster to have this type of season. Granted, now obviously you have Dak out for the season, but even before that, even when Dak was in there, there were games where they looked absolutely horrible.
Right.
And, like I said, I think a lot of it's Jerry Jones. He's old. So
I'm old.
Like Jerry Jones is old.
Oh.
What is he, like 86 or something like that?
Is he
Like,
that old?
He's 82.
Wow.
I think he's 80.
Wow.
At least 80. But yeah, so that's my piece on Dallas. And if they got him out of there or not being the GM and they got McCarthy out of there, they'd be a lot better team. But
Well, there have been some rumors that maybe Bill Belichick would be interested in that job.
I don't know.
However-
I don't know if Jerry's going to be hands off
Right,
enough.
right. If I were Belichick, I would be going in there and saying, "Listen, I make the decisions here.
Yeah.
You're the owner. You shut up. You let me do my job."
Going to be New England South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, which I think he would be great there, as long as he gets the control.
Yeah. Belichick wouldn't go anywhere if he wasn't the only guy there.
Right.
But yeah, so Brian Robinson, I mean, he's been, when healthy, he's actually been a great value for fantasy this year. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
He's been really good. Last week came back from the injury, got the full go, plenty of carries. And it was nice when they got in the red zone. Jayden Daniels hasn't been rushing as much,
Right.
Lately, which I think, they're just trying to protect him. So when they get in the red zone, it is Robinson or Eckler, might steal one.
Right.
But, against Dallas, I mean, I think Washington they're favored by,
Oh yeah.
what was it, like 7 or 6.5 maybe
Yeah.
was the spread or something
I
like
mean,
that.
Dallas
But,
hasn't proven that they can actually score points and stay in a game.
Yeah, or stop another offense.
Right.
So, I think Brian Robinson, one touchdown for sure I would bet on. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 2,
Yeah.
and then gets a bunch of carries at the end of the game.
Right, right.
I think they're going to get up. They're going to get up early. And then
Right. As
coast.
long as they decide to continue to use him and don't.
It's true.
replace him
Yeah,
with
I think they
Eckler.
will. But yeah, so the matchup's too good to pass
Oh
up.
yeah, agreed. Moving on to our wide receivers, we've got Amon-Ra, Nico Collins, AJ Brown, Scary Terry. Wonder which Scary is going to show up. Scary like this past week.
Yeah.
Tyreek and Justin Jefferson. I'm going to go Puka versus Philadelphia. Philadelphia has been playing fairly well of late, but I think that, in order to stay in the game, they're going to have to throw.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be, it's going to be one or the other. They both may have decent games, but,
well, when
I was going to put
yeah.
Rams receivers there.
Yeah. When Puka's been healthy, and at least to me, it seems like he's been the number one.
Right.
Cup obviously, he gets his stuff because
does.
him and Stafford have that connection, and he's always open.
Right.
But Puka seems to be, the number one, in that offense. Like you said, Philly's been playing really good defense lately. They're like top 6 in every metric, I think, right now for defense. So they're clicking, they're getting hot at the right time.
Right.
But yeah, they're gonna have to throw to stay in this game.
Right, right.
So
That's why I stayed away from a Kyron Williams on the running back side, because I think that, if they fall behind, we all know what Stafford will do. He'll throw it 40 times.
Kyron's been frustrating. I'm a Kyron manager. It's been frustrating lately because, I think it was last week, they just, they'd get close and they wouldn't use him. It was just, It was really frustrating. So for some reason they're getting away from, Kyron. You saw Corum had a few more carries, had a little more work last week. But yeah.
Fantasy football has been interesting this year.
Yeah.
Across the board. So
Yeah. I am going with Calvin Ridley against Houston. I actually have a feeling this is going to be a good game. Houston's at home, and C.J. Stroud plays better at home. I think he averages like 300 yards and like at least one touchdown at home. So I think Tennessee, whose defense is good, but I did hear they will not have L'Jarius Sneed, their lockdown corner.
Right.
So that's going to obviously open stuff up. Tajay Spears is most likely out with a concussion.
I believe he's already out.
So, Pollard's backfield again, but Houston's run defense is pretty stout. They're pretty stingy when it comes to that. So I think Ridley's going to be just super necessary here. You get that random 98-yard touchdown to Westbrook Akine, who knows? But, I don't
know. I need a bigger game out of Brian Thomas Jr., so.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, is Lawrence back or is he?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I think Ridley's just, like I said, he's going to be super necessary. Houston's going to be, I think, going to be throwing all over them. Obviously, Mixon's good for his, 20 carries and 100 yards and a touchdown. But, so I think Ridley was a little more disappointing last week. But I think he'll bounce back nicely here.
Yep. Moving on to our tight ends, we've got Kelsey McBride. Should be a singer's name or something. Bowers, Kittle, Goddard, and Ertz. It's the big names.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guys you'd expect to have big games.
Mm-hmm.
But Kittle is injured, playing with a different quarterback this week.
Yeah.
There's some stuff going on in that entire list. Kelsey,
and that game could be that game if Kelsey doesn't score in that game because they're playing Carolina. If Kelsey doesn't score early, I think you're gonna be really, really upset with his stat line this week because I think they're gonna get up.
Oh yeah,
quick, and that defense is gonna shut down Bryce Young, and it's gonna be a Kareem Hunt and I don't know, is Pacheco. I thought maybe that he'd get a little bit of.
I thought he was out this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kareem Hunt. If it's just Kareem,
if he's not in the top 6 on the list of running backs, Pacheco's out.
That's a very good point. So I think Kareem Hunt's he'll have like 30 touches this game. But,
yeah, he very well may.
Yeah. So Kelsey, like I said, he's gonna have to score early. I think in this game to have any sort of relevance this week.
So I am going to stack my tight end with my quarterback. I'm going Cade Otton. Like we said, outside of Evans being back and Rachaad White being used out of the backfield, Otton had been a pleasant surprise up until about a week or two ago when he kind of fell off the cliff and I think threw up a big donut.
Did he?
A couple weeks ago, maybe, or really low bad score.
Yeah,
and so I think they're gonna. I mean, it's the Giants.
The Giants are actually pretty good against the tight end. But, again, like we said, there's truly, it's Mike Evans, Cade Otton, then Rachaad White.
Right. So, if they're double covering Evans because he's back, I think that Otton will have a decent game.
Yeah, I like that. He's been, like I said, I've got Otton in one of the dynasty leagues, and he's been really nice to have. So, again, I guess we're doing the same thing. I'm stacking my tight end quarterback as well. I'm going with Will Disley. Yep. Forgotten tight end. Was that one-hit wonder there in Seattle years ago with Russell where Disley was like the tight end 3. Like every week was just putting up monster numbers. Like I said, Chargers have been getting hot. Disley's caught a touchdown in like the last 4 out of 5 games. Had some decent yardage last week with the touchdown. He's become kind of a that comfort blanket for Herbert. If he's got to check it down they've been running Disley up the seam. The touchdown he caught last week was right up the seam, and Herbert split the defenders, and it was a really nice throw from Herbert on that. So and again against Baltimore. If you get to Baltimore, that's going to show up and put 45 on you. You're going to have to throw a lot. So I like Disley this week.
Yeah, I don't know if Baltimore's going to put up 45 of anything. They just, they have seemed completely out of it. And, the last week or two. And you sit there and you watch as the Steelers made them look pretty bad. and then the Steelers turn around and lose to the Browns. And didn't the Browns beat Baltimore
the Browns
also?
beat Baltimore also.
So I mean, and I get it's the the AFC North and blah 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 and teams that are this is the type of game that you expect, but I'm not as impressed with them of late as early on. I mean, everyone was saying, well, they're the team to beat.
Yeah.
Now they've been beaten.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore's the kind of the perfect. I mean, you hear the quote, any given Sunday, any team can lose.
Yep.
Absolutely true. But Baltimore truly is either it feels like they'll either blow you out or they're gonna lose in a close game.
Yep.
It's not. It's either one, and they'll look horrible losing the close game, and then they'll look like the best team in the league in the next. So they're interesting team. That's gonna be fun to watch in playoffs for them. yeah.
It's like which team shows up.
Yep.
Moving on to our love 'em, flip 'em, leave 'em. I decided to go with three rookie QBs who I know we've had at least Daniels in before as one of our
probably
in this segment. But I thought I'd bring Daniels, Nix, and May because they're all playing. Expectations are higher out of these three than a Caleb Williams, right, at this point?
At this point, yeah.
In the season. I mean, you've got three teams that are actually, New England isn't necessarily playing that well, but May is looking good.
Yeah, he's keeping New England
out.
close in most of these games, so, yeah.
So, I don't really know who I like in this.
I mean, at this exact moment, you've had two really kind of bad weeks out of Jayden Daniels.
Right.
Like I said, I traded Daniels straight up for Joe Burrow 2 weeks ago. And
he may still have enough value that you could trade him over either of the other two.
Yeah, again, if you're Dynasty, for example, out of those three, Daniels would be far and away the most valuable, I think. Nix has been playing well, but, again, it's, Broncos, I don't know.
You know my take on running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The shortened, in Dynasty, you have to look at longevity, too, because, you're talking about investing in a guy that you want to have on your team for 6, 8, 10 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Daniels will last as long as the other two.
Yeah.
Because they're passing quarterbacks first.
Yeah. Like we talked about earlier with Daniels, he hasn't been running near as much as he was.
And maybe that's the plan.
Yes, but
to
then
save him save some wear on
limits, his
value.
passing and his value, obviously. Right. Obviously we saw it last week against, Philly, where for whatever reason Terry McLaurin was not part of the game plan, it seemed like.
But he had two targets.
Yeah. In the fourth quarter. Like late in the fourth quarter,
right.
too. So whether that's that's Dan Quinn or whoever, the GM being like, look, you got to protect yourself. Like you're seemingly like you're our franchise guy here. Just ease it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because obviously Washington's no stranger to running quarterbacks that get a devastating injury and then retire. So
yeah.
But yeah, I like Daniels. I like his game. I like his arm. He's got,
Yeah,
we saw the
fling it without
effortless.
Right, almost. I was just going to say effortless move where you just kind of whoop in there. Yeah. It's 50 yards down the field. I would try and trade him. We said, based on current value, it's still high, and I think that if he stops running as much, he loses his effectiveness as far as a scoring quarterback, because while he can throw, it seems to take him a little bit out of his game.
Yep.
And, personally, I don't like necessarily the weapons that Nix has, but I have liked the weapons that Nix has.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, Cortland Sutton's been, for the most part, since they really started clicking, Cortland Sutton's been actually really good. I mean, he had like one down week, like 2
well,
or
and
3 weeks
Marvin
ago.
Mims had a good week. I mean, I have had Mims on my on our dynasty roster for the last couple years, and you know he always shows out as here's this guy that can get down. He's super fast, and then you know they'd use him, and then they wouldn't. And it seems like he's actually making a little bit of a resurgence and being noticed more. So, you know, I like Nick's, but I think I would keep May. I think he's got some great potential.
Yes, obviously, like I said, if we're looking dynasty setting, you know, as a more pure pocket kind of passer, I mean, he'll get out and scoot as well.
Right.
You know, he'll break one off every now and then, but you know, it's definitely more of a throw first kind of quarterback. So
Yeah, and I prefer those. I mean, to me, that's you know, for both longevity and even in season. You know, you think about the last thing you want is to have your quarterback go down for a period of time, and that can happen.
Yeah, happened with Daniels,
right?
You know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, had the ribs.
Yeah,
you know, so.
And so I would trade Daniels and I would drop Nix and I would keep May.
Yeah, I think I would flip Nix and May for me. Like I said, Daniels, you know, I like him and I think he's gonna be just fine. But again, obviously, yeah, the injury potential, the more you run, you know, scares you a little bit. And Nix has been actually playing really, really well.
Yeah,
you know, I think Sean Payton kind of knows what he's got there. And
couldn't do anything with Russell Wilson, but he came with a rookie.
It wasn't his guy.
I know.
You know,
I know.
It's like college coaches when they come in. You know, these aren't my recruits.
Yeah,
you know, it takes a couple years. I mean, look what's happening in Wisconsin here.
Yeah, it's going to be the same thing in New York for the Jets. Bye-bye Aaron Rodgers after this season because the new guy coming in, the GM and the head coach, this isn't my guy.
Yeah.
Well, and I have a feeling that he's not Woody's guy either, but Woody doesn't have a clue what he's doing.
Yep.
And he's definitely not going to be the coach or the GM's choice, you know. So I guess it's off to Minnesota for a year.
Not with McCarthy coming back next season and Darnold's still there.
Darnold may want to turn his current situation into a boom and make some big money off of it. He was only signed for 1 year, and McCarthy, you know, if you bring in an Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna let him learn under Aaron Rodgers for a year. Hey, the writing is on the wall.
Not this version of Rodgers.
In 12 years, we will be saying the same exact thing about Jordan Love. He will have gone to the Jets, and he will be going to Minnesota for a year. So that's all we've got for this week. I do want to give a shout out to the guys from Zimbrick Honda. Hopefully you guys are listening. One of them, while we were in, as my wife was getting a different vehicle, one of them listened. You know, I gave up the cards, and one of them was listening. And he said, "You have a face for radio." Oh, wait! He said you have a voice for radio. And I turned it into face for radio. Yeah. So, and he did say, you know, he liked the way we would joke around about stuff, and so you know, I'm not afraid to say that I've got a face for radio. But you can check us out on YouTube too, and see us. Actually see us. So, but otherwise, I am Ozzy.
And I'm Austin.
Have a great week.
See you.